Hello, and welcome to my channel. This is Inspired by Christ, where we talk about everything Jesus, God, salvation, and whatever He inspires me to talk about. And today we are continuing our series on Nehemiah. Nehemiah was a man that was assigned to rebuild Jerusalem. And I just wanted to make parallels between his building process, rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, and sustaining that, because it didn't just end with the wall was finished and then they were done with the work. There was still more to continue after that. And paralleling that with building a relationship with God. And so we've seen some similarities up to this point. Like I mentioned, this is a series, so I'll have to link the playlist somewhere. And yeah. It's March 12th. We've been doing one video a day. I did forget to post my video yesterday. I had it recorded, but I forgot to post it. So we get 2 videos today, but usually it's one day for each day in March. And then there are 13 chapters in Nehemiah, so tomorrow will be the last day to post. And that'll be the whole book, and the series will be complete. I hope you all have been enjoying it as much as I have, and we can just get right into it. Chapter 12. I'll be reading from the KJV. Excuse me. Now these are the priests and the Levites that went up with Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua, Sariah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Amariah, Maluk, Hattush, Shechaniah, Rehum, Meremoth, Edo, Ginnethon, Abijah, Miamin, Maadiah, Bilgah, Shemaiah, and Joiarib, Jedaiah, Salu, Amok, Hilkiah, Jedaiah. These were the chief of the priests and of their brethren in the days of Jeshua. Moreover, the Levites, Jeshua, Binnui, Kadmiel, Sherebiah, Judah, and Mattaniah, which was over the thanksgiving, he and his brethren. Also, Bakbukiah and Uni, their brethren, were over against them in the watches. And Jeshua begat Joiakim. Joiakim also begat Eliashib, and Eliashib begat Joiada. And Joiada begat Jonathan, and Jonathan begat Jaddua. And in the days of Joiakim were priests, the chief of the fathers of Sariah, Meriah, of Jeremiah, Hananiah, of Ezra, Meshullam, of Amariah, Jehohanan, of Meliku, Jonathan, of Shebaniah, Joseph, of Harim, Adnah, of Medaiot, Helkai, of Edo, Zechariah, of Ginnethon, Meshullam, of Abijah, Zikri, of Miniamin, of Moadiah, Piltai, of Bilgah, Shammua, of Shemaiah, Jehonathan. Yes. And of Joiarib, Mattanai, of Jedaiah, Uzi, of Salai, Kalai, of Amok, Eber, of Hilkiah, Hashabiah, of Jedaiah, Nathaniel. The Levites in the days of Eliashib, Joiada, and Johanan, and Jaddua were recorded chief of the fathers. Also the priests to the reign of Darius the Persian. The sons of Levi, the chief of the fathers, were written in the book of the Chronicles, even until the days of Johanan, the son of Eliashib. And the chief of the Levites, Hashabiah, Sherebiah, and Jeshua the son of Kadmiel, with their brethren over against them to praise and to give thanks, according to the commandment of David, the man of God, ward over against ward. Mattaniah and Bakbukiah, Obadiah, Meshullam, Talmon, Akub were porters keeping the ward at the thresholds of the gates. These were in the days of Joachim the son of Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, and in the days of Nehemiah the governor, and of Ezra the priest, the scribe. And at the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem, they sought the Levites out of all their places to bring them to Jerusalem, to keep the dedication with gladness, both with thanksgivings and with singing, with cymbals, psalteries, and with harps. And the sons of the singers gathered themselves together, both out of the plain country round about Jerusalem, and from the villages of Netophathi, also from the house of Gilgal, and out of the fields of Geba and Azmaveth, for the singers had builded them villages round about Jerusalem. And the priests and the Levites purified themselves, and purified the people, and the gates and the wall. Then I brought up the princes of Judah upon the wall, and appointed 2 great companies of them that gave thanks, whereof one went on the right hand upon the wall toward the dung gate, and after them went Hoshaiah and half of the princes of Judah, and Azariah, Ezra, and Meshullam, Judah and Benjamin, and Shemaiah and Jeremiah, and certain of the priest's sons with trumpets, namely Zechariah the son of Jonathan, the son of Shemaiah, the son of Mattaniah, the son of Micaiah, the son of Zakur, the son of Asaph, and his brethren Shemaiah and Azariel, Milalai, Gilalai, Maai, Nethaneel, and Judah, Hanani, with the musical instruments of David, the man of God, and Ezra the scribe before them. And at the fountain gate, which was over against them, they went up by the stairs of the city of David, at the going up of the wall, above the house of David, even unto the water gate eastward. And the other company of them that gave thanks went over against them, and I after them, and the half of the people upon the wall. My goodness. From beyond the tower of the furnaces, even unto the broad wall. And from above the gate of Ephraim, and above the old gate, and above the fish gate, and the tower of Hananiel, and the tower of Mea, even unto the sheep gate, and they stood still in the prison gate. So stood the 2 companies of them that gave thanks in the house of God, and I, and the half of the rulers with me, and the priests Eliakim, Maaseiah, Miniamin, Micaiah, Elioenai, Zechariah, and Hananiah with trumpets, and Maaseiah, and Shemaiah, and Eleazar, and Uzi, and Jehohanan, and Malchijah, and Elam, and Ezer. And the singers sang loud with Jezrahiah, their overseer. Also that day they offered great sacrifices and rejoiced, for God had made them rejoice with great joy. The wives also and the children rejoiced, so that the joy of Jerusalem was heard even afar off. And at that time were some appointed over the chambers for the treasures, for the offerings, for the first fruits, and for the tithes, to gather into them out of the fields of the cities the portions of the law for the priests and Levites. For Judah rejoiced for the priests and for the Levites that waited. And both the singers and the porters kept the ward of their God, and the ward of the purification, according to the commandment of David and of Solomon his son. For in the days of David and Asaph of old, there were chief of the singers and songs of praise and thanksgiving unto God. And all Israel in the days of Zerubbabel and in the days of Nehemiah gave the portions of the singers and the porters every day his portion. And they sanctified holy things unto the Levites, and the Levites sanctified them unto the children of Aaron. So again, we have another chapter with lots of names. And once you start to think you're getting used to some of the names, some new ones pop up. But sorry again for all of the ones that I mispronounced. But to me, I mentioned this in what was supposed to be yesterday's video, but for the most part, I haven't been reading the chapters beforehand. So as we go through this, I'm like not taking pieces, but taking my understanding that I get from reading the chapter with you all and just sharing those thoughts. So it's not really a teaching, just more of what I notice, or if it counts, what has been revealed to me, I guess. And then if you have any comments, please feel free to leave them below. But I say all that to say this is most definitely not a teaching, and I don't know if this is all there is to it, but how to describe it? It's almost like, is it record keeping kind of? Like you have the people, it's kind of listing the history. You have the people and the positions that they serve, but it also shows kind of along, I think it's a continuation of the video yesterday. We have the names and the people in these positions, and yesterday's video was, I basically talked about how when continuing God's assignment, we're not meant to do it alone. Like, we're not meant to be every position all at once. Like, there may be some times where our positions change, and the example that I gave were the different roles. So like different titles, well, different roles too. So when we're first born, we're born as somebody's child. And then if we have any siblings, then we become brothers and sisters. And how we act as somebody's child is going to look different than how we show up as a brother or a sister. And so it's stuff like that. We can be multiple things, but we're not going to be everything all at once. For certain assignments, we're going to hold certain positions. And this just seems like a continuation of that. Is telling us which people were in which positions. But also, I guess this is not an alert. It's informing us of the different positions, and because we have the Levites, we have the priests, we have the singers and overseers. I think I read that there was a scribe somewhere, and they had a dedication. At the dedication, they sought the Levites out of all their places to keep the dedication with gladness, both with thanksgiving and with singing, with cymbals, psalteries, and with harps. And the sons of the singers gathered themselves together. So this is just like one big gathering. I know it says dedication. In my mind, I'm thinking that's a party. A party to praise God. Oh, that was one bit. Does it start at verse 31? The priests, the Levites, purified themselves and purified the people in the gates and the wall. I don't want to call this a ritual, but mm, I guess even, let's see, even after everything that they did with rebuilding the wall, having the people restored unto their inheritance, unto their land and what they were owed, um, like there's still stuff to do. And a couple of chapters ago, we read about how they were told to eat and drink. They read the book of the law, and at first they were mourning over it, but I think it was Ezra. He was like, no, this isn't the time to mourn. We're gonna celebrate the Lord. We're gonna make this day holy. Eat, drink, be merry, is basically what was said. And then after that, they fasted and humbled themselves and remade or renewed the covenant with God. And so there was that. And now we have a dedication. We have a dedication where the people are gathering together and they purify themselves, purify the people, the gates and the wall. And then they bring up the people upon the wall. And if I'm understanding what I read correctly, it seemed like they had people placed at all different points, probably to cover. Oh, but this is a big wall. Then I brought up the princes of Judah upon the wall and appointed 2 great companies of them that gave thanks. Well, it says 2 great companies, so if there were that many Israelites, I guess they wouldn't be surprised. Whereof one went on the right hand upon the wall toward the dung gate. And after them went these people. So stood the 2 companies of them that gave thanks in the house of God, and I and the half of the rulers with me. So I'm not clear on the order that this was in, whether it was like one company went up on the wall and then they gave their thanks and they sang praises and then they came down and then went to another portion of the wall, or if these 2 great companies were able to cover all parts of the wall at the same time. But I think as part of the dedication and the purifying and the giving thanks, I do think they covered the wall in full so that everything could be a part of the dedication to the Lord. I may have to go back and read this again. I'm getting this from verses 31 to 40. And then after giving thanks, they offered great sacrifices and rejoiced, for God had made them rejoice with great joy. And at that time were some appointed over the chambers for the treasures, for the offerings, for the firstfruits, and for the tithes, to gather into them out of the fields of the cities the portions of the law for the priests and Levites. For Judah rejoiced for the priests and for the Levites that waited. But I guess too, what am I trying? I guess too, we see early, I think we kind of see what the church is based off of. So, like, where am I going with this? See what the church is based off of. So, when we think of the different positions, most of the church services that I attend, they may start off with a short prayer or a welcome and then go into praise and worship. And we read about the singers here. And then after praise and worship, maybe a more slightly in-depth time of prayer, like not where you're praying for like 2 hours or anything, but a little bit more than a welcome prayer. And then in some churches, I've seen a block for giving testimony. I think that's been more common in the small churches where, like, even if everyone gave their testimony, it probably wouldn't extend the service by like an hour. Praise and worship, prayer, and then the pastor gives a sermon, and at some point in between, maybe before the sermon or after sermon, they collect tithes and offerings, which was also mentioned here. They had people over the treasury. Yeah. And so we see the positions that they had back then are very similar to what we do now. So it's interesting how it all carries over, how long it all carries on, how much we kind of keep up with tradition. And I think the other thing I'm noticing here is that there are portions. What's a porter? And all Israel in the days of Zerubbabel and in the days of Nehemiah gave the portions of the singers and the porters every day his portion, and they sanctified holy things unto the Levites, and the Levites sanctified them unto the children of Aaron. So I think when we are serving God in the positions that he calls us to, so priest, Levite, singer, overseer, ruler, governor, when we serve in that, how do I want to describe this? For Old Testament Israel, there were certain laws put in place on how they should conduct themselves and how much to give and how much to sacrifice, what to sacrifice. They had very specific rules on sacrificing, giving, even celebrations, when they should celebrate. And I think nowadays it may be, do I want to say more individual? Like, God can put it on people's heart to give their portion, whatever that may look like. Because we mentioned in another chapter that may look like the 2 mites the lady gave. I think it was in the synagogue, the one that Jesus mentioned. It may be the 2 mites, which is all you have. It may be like a 10th of your first fruits, or whatever that may be. Who said a 10th? I don't remember who said it, but it may be storing 1 out of every 5 of whatever you have, whatever that looks like. And so everyone has their own portion, but God can put it on people's hearts to give what they give so that those portions, when they're given to the ones in positions that serve God and in positions, no, I'm not going to say that. In positions that serve God, they get their portions, and then that portion is, I think, is going to come together to be everything that the people in those positions need, if that makes sense. So, like, if I'm a singer in the church and maybe my portion is $50 for a service, that $50 will probably cover whatever my need is in that moment. And that $50 may have been scraped together. Maybe 10 people gave $5 or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, God can put it on people's hearts to give, and then when he does that, the portion that's given is going to be more than enough to cover what's needed by the people that they're giving to. I hope I'm explaining it properly in a way, but that just goes to show, like, God is a provider, and yeah, he is a provider, and part of keeping the assignment going is constantly and consistently giving in the way that you feel led, in the way that you are led, not just based off of feelings. In the way that you are led. And then in that, I think, like, once it's given, some kind of form or fashion is going to come back to the people. Like, there has to be constant, I guess, circulation. When it's given, it's going to come back to you some kind of way. But I don't think we read that part. We just read people giving their portions. So I don't want to take anything out of context. But just thinking of how God provides, I think it can be easy to think, oh, if I'm just giving, at what point? Like, it's easy. You can run out of stuff. You can run out of stuff when all you do is give. But at some point, the receiving will become a thing. But like I said, that's adding to, that's not what this chapter is about. So I think that's all I have. Just a casual and quick conversation. But I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Or if the day's just started, I hope you do have a wonderful day. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.